I moved to Magnolia Springs because I thought it was safe. The neighborhood brochures showed winding streets lined with magnolia trees, pastel-colored homes with white fences, and children riding bicycles under the lazy golden sun. It looked like everything I'd ever wanted for my daughter: stability, community, and peace. 5 years in the Bureau had taught me to see danger where others saw calm. But for once, I wanted to believe the pictures. My daughter Lily deserved normalcy. She'd been born with a mild motor delay and needed daily therapy. In Washington, D.C., it was chaos. Sirens, traffic, a world constantly on edge. Here, she had open lawns and sunlight. Here, I could pretend to be just another dad, at least for a while. The Magnolia Springs Homeowners Association was the kind of suburban government that people either tolerated or feared. Their emails were written like laws, their board meetings filled with small-town politics and unspoken threats. But I thought I could handle it. After all, if I could interrogate arms dealers, what was an HOA board? That's when I met her. Karen Dalton, the self-proclaimed president and self-appointed queen of Magnolia Springs. Karen's introduction came wrapped in a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She was tall, tan, and perpetually overdressed, the kind of person who made every PTA meeting a performance. "We're so glad to have you here," she said during our first encounter, clipboard in hand. "Just make sure you keep your lawn in compliance and the toys out of sight. We like to maintain a standard here." Her tone was sweet, but her gaze lingered on Lily's wheelchair by the porch. I saw the flicker, that subtle, pitying judgment that people try to disguise as politeness. Lily, oblivious, had waved from her seat. "Hi, Miss Lady." Karen smiled again. "Hi, sweetheart." But the smile faded the moment she turned back to me. Something about that moment, her eyes narrowing slightly, her lips tightening, put me on alert. I'd seen that expression before in interrogation rooms. It was the face of someone cataloging weakness. The first few weeks were peaceful. I worked remotely, filed field reports from my home office, and took Lily to therapy sessions. Every evening, she begged me to visit the community pool, her favorite place in the world. She couldn't swim yet, but she loved floating in the shallow end with her pink inflatable ring, laughing as sunlight danced on the water. The pool was a centerpiece of Magnolia Springs, meticulously maintained, and monitored by a few volunteers, including Karen. I didn't think much of it at first, until the first incident. It was a Wednesday afternoon, bright and humid. I was sitting on the edge of the pool while Lily paddled happily near the steps, splashing with another little girl. Karen was at the far end, sipping something from a stainless tumbler, chatting with 2 other HOA board members. Everything seemed fine, until Lily accidentally splashed a little too high. Water droplets landed near Karen's feet. Karen froze mid-sentence. The look she gave my daughter made my chest tighten. It was quick but unmistakable. Annoyance, disdain. Like a queen displeased by a peasant's audacity. She stood, walked over, and crouched near Lily. "Sweetie, be careful," she said in a falsely sweet tone. "You almost got my outfit wet." "We wouldn't want to cause problems, would we?" Lily blinked. "Sorry, I was already on my feet." "She didn't mean to," I said, smiling just enough to keep it civil. Karen's eyes flicked toward me. "Oh, of course. Children never mean to. But in this neighborhood, we like to keep things orderly." She turned and walked off before I could respond. The rest of the afternoon, her laughter with the other women carried across the water, brittle and deliberate, like she wanted me to hear. That night, I found an email from the HOA titled Pool Conduct Reminder. It listed new rules about behavior, including a clause that children must be accompanied at all times by an adult inside the water, and that flotation toys may be restricted during peak hours. I knew exactly who wrote it. The next few days brought more signs. A neighbor, a kind woman named Dana, stopped me at the mailbox. "Be careful around Karen," she whispered. "She's particular. Last summer she tried to ban a family because their kid brought snacks to the pool. She likes control. Control. That word rang like a warning bell. Still, I didn't confront her." Lily's laughter was more important than Karen's pettiness. But the incidents kept coming. Small things, each one designed to provoke, first. a letter about improper placement of outdoor toys. Then, a complaint about excessive water splashing during non-designated pool hours. And finally, one that made my blood run cold. We have concerns about unsupervised activity around the pool involving your daughter. HOA policy requires close observation to prevent liability. Lily was never unsupervised. Not for a second. That's when I realized this wasn't about policy. It was personal. The following Saturday, I decided to test a theory. I brought Lily to the pool again, but this time, I kept my phone camera discreetly recording from the towel bench. Karen was already there, as I expected, lounging with her clipboard and coffee. As soon as Lily entered the shallow end, Karen stood. "You know," she said, approaching me, "children under 6 aren't allowed in the pool without proper swim certification." "That's not in the HOA handbook," I replied. "I read it cover to cover." She tilted her head, a predator's smile playing at the corner of her mouth. "Rules change, and sometimes we make exceptions. For safety." I could hear the faint tremor in her voice, not fear, but irritation. She wasn't used to being challenged. Lily, meanwhile, was humming softly to herself, completely unaware of the tension in the air. Karen leaned closer, lowering her voice. "If you can't follow HOA safety guidelines, maybe Magnolia Springs isn't the right fit for your family." The threat was gentle, but unmistakable. I smiled back. "Oh, I think we'll fit just fine. I tend to follow the law very closely." For the first time, she hesitated. Maybe it was the tone, or the calm confidence behind the words. She didn't know who I was. Not yet. That night, I reviewed the footage. Karen's tone, her words, the way she approached my daughter, and stored it all in a secure drive. It wasn't evidence yet, but it was a start. My instincts told me things were about to escalate. I'd seen people like her before. Control freaks who thought neighborhood bylaws gave them power. But underneath that smug superiority often lay something darker: obsession, envy, or hatred. And if my hunch was right, Karen wasn't done with us. The next morning, I found muddy footprints across our driveway. Too large for a child, too small for me. On our mailbox, someone had left a folded paper note with one sentence: "Rules are meant to be followed." There was no signature. But the handwriting was unmistakable, looping, precise, and written in the same blue ink Karen used for her HOA notices. I stood in the morning silence, the paper trembling slightly in my hand, and made a decision. From now on, I wasn't just a homeowner. I was an agent again. The morning started too calm. That kind of quiet that makes your instincts ache. The magnolias barely moved, the sky was heavy with humidity, and the streets of Magnolia Springs were unusually empty for a Saturday. Lily wanted to swim. "Please, Daddy, just for a little bit? You promised we'd practice my kicking." I smiled at her. "All right, kiddo, but only for an hour." She clapped her hands and spun in her little pink swimsuit, the one with dolphins across the front. I didn't know then how close I'd come to losing her that day. When we arrived at the pool, Karen was already there, clipboard in hand, sunglasses reflecting the water. 2 other board members sat beside her, whispering like judges at a hearing. "Good morning," I said evenly. Karen didn't answer. She just smiled, that tight, sugar-coated smile that hid her contempt. I set Lily's towel down near the shallow end and helped her into the water. She was laughing, splashing gently, kicking her legs. For a few moments, it felt normal. Then Karen approached. "You again?" she said. "Still haven't scheduled that certification class, I see." I turned slowly. "We're within the rules." "And she's in 3 feet of water." "Rules," Karen echoed softly. "You agents always hide behind them." Something about the way she said agents made me freeze. I hadn't told anyone about my job. I kept my cover as security consultant vague enough for casual conversation. So how did she know? "Excuse me?" I asked carefully. "Oh, I do my research," she said. "Magnolia Springs is a close community. We like to know who lives here." There was no mistaking it now. She'd done a background check. But how far had she gone? I watched her walk back to her chair, muttering something to the women beside her. My pulse was steady, but my mind was racing. Something was off. A few minutes later, Karen stood up again. "Pool break, everyone!" she called out. We're treating the water. Please step out. The handful of kids in the pool obeyed, climbing out as parents gathered their towels. Lily was at the steps, still humming, but then Karen approached her directly. Come on, sweetheart, let's go this way, she said, motioning toward the deeper end where the divider rope hung slack. Lily hesitated. Daddy says stay in the shallow end. Karen's smile sharpened. Oh, but I'm in charge of the pool, dear. You'll be fine. I was already moving. Lily, stay put. Karen's head whipped toward me, irritation flashing across her face. It's fine, she snapped. I just want to show her where the drain valves are. That's when I saw it, her hand tightening on Lily's arm just a little too firmly. Let go, I said, stepping closer. Karen's expression twisted. You don't tell me what to do on HOA property? Every word echoed like a crack across the water. She tugged Lily a few inches toward the divider line, her manicured nails digging into the child's small arm. Lily whimpered. That sound, small, scared, hit me like a bullet. Karen. My voice was low now, controlled. Release her, now. For a moment, time froze. Then something flickered in her eyes. Maybe realization, maybe defiance, and she yanked Lily's hand away. Pushing her slightly backward, Lily stumbled. Splashing into the shallow water, that was enough. I reached the pool edge in 3 strides, scooped my daughter up, and turned to face Karen. Step back, I said. Karen stared at me, breathing hard. You don't belong here, she hissed. You people think you can bend the rules. You think the law protects you everywhere, but this is my neighborhood. Behind her, one of the other board members whispered, Karen, maybe— Shut up, Donna. That outburst drew attention. A few neighbors had gathered near the fence, whispering. Cameras were out, phones raised. Good, let them record. Lily, go get your towel, I said softly. She obeyed, her little legs trembling. Karen's face had gone pale. Don't you dare threaten me, Agent, whatever your name is. I'm not threatening you, I said. I'm documenting. Her gaze darted around, realizing what was happening. People were filming. Her composure cracked. You can't record me without consent. This is private property. Public access amenity, I corrected calmly. HOA Regulation 12B, you posted it yourself. The murmurs around us grew louder. Karen's lips trembled with fury. She grabbed her clipboard and stormed off, muttering, You'll regret this. I watched her leave, my pulse steady but my jaw tight. Lily tugged my sleeve. Daddy, are we in trouble? I knelt down, brushing her damp hair aside. Not us, sweetheart. Not us. That night, the footage went straight to a secure cloud drive. I watched it again, every frame. Karen's body language, the way she positioned herself, her hand tightening on Lily's arm. It was subtle, but it was enough to show intent. Intent to intimidate. I emailed a copy to a friend in the Bureau's Digital Forensics Division, just in case. Not as a formal case, not yet, but as a safeguard. My phone buzzed an hour later. It was Dana, the neighbor. She's losing it, Dana whispered. Karen's been ranting in the HOA chat group. She says you're a government plant trying to destroy the community. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Let her talk. No, you don't get it. She's posting your address, your job title. She found your FBI record somehow. I went still. How? She has someone on the board who works in the county office. She's bragging about accessing restricted data. She said she's going to show everyone what kind of man you really are. That changed everything. Now she wasn't just an unstable neighbor. She was committing a federal offense, unauthorized access to protected information. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. Thanks, Dana. Save the screenshots. Don't engage. The next morning, I left early and walked the perimeter of the neighborhood. My instincts were screaming now, the subtle signs of surveillance. The unfamiliar car parked near the clubhouse. The HOA cameras repositioned toward my property. Karen was escalating, but she didn't know she was walking into a trap. By afternoon, I'd installed my own surveillance, hidden cameras around the property, motion sensors near the gate, and a small recorder in the community pool area disguised as a maintenance device. That evening, I sent an anonymous tip to the county's cybercrime unit, flagging suspicious data access from the HOA office. Then, I waited. 2 nights later, the trap snapped shut. Karen's HOA email account was caught sending files labeled Federal Employee Background to an external address. The metadata led straight to her personal laptop. The local police, alerted by the cyber unit, requested a quiet investigation. She never saw it coming. When officers arrived at her door the next morning, I was at the pool again, watching Lily kick happily in her floaty. Karen appeared moments later, storming toward me, barefoot, furious, her phone pressed to her ear. "You!" she shrieked. "You called them!" "Called who?" I asked, calm as ever. "The police! They think I hacked some—" She stopped mid-sentence as 2 county deputies turned the corner behind her. "Mrs. Dalton," one of them said, "we need to speak with you about an ongoing investigation." Her face drained of color. "You can't. This is a mistake." They read her the notice calmly, explaining the warrant for her devices. I stood quietly, holding Lily's towel. Karen's eyes met mine one last time, furious, frightened, disbelieving. "You set me up," she whispered. "No," I said softly. "You did that yourself." By nightfall, word had spread through Magnolia Springs. The HOA chat was silent for the first time in months. Neighbors exchanged glances at their mailboxes, some avoiding eye contact, others quietly mouthing, "Thank you." Dana brought cookies and whispered, "She's suspended from the board. The whole community's talking." I nodded, but inside I wasn't celebrating, because I knew Karen. People like her don't stop. They regroup. They come back. And sure enough, a week later, a new email arrived in my inbox. No subject line, no signature, just one sentence. "You think this is over? Wait until I take away what you love most." I closed the laptop slowly, the reflection of the screen fading in my eyes. She was back, but this time, she wasn't dealing with a homeowner, she was dealing with an agent. The Magnolia Springs pool, once filled with sunlight and laughter, now looked like a crime scene to me. Every time I walked past it, I could still see the reflection of that moment. Karen's hand gripping the edge of Lily's float, the way the air turned sharp and silent right before I ran. Lily was safe now. Bruised, frightened, but alive. She slept beside me every night since the incident, clutching her stuffed bear, whispering about the scary water lady. The doctor said she'd recover physically, emotionally. That would take time, and as for me, I wasn't just a father anymore. I was a man on a mission. Karen had gone quiet since that day. Too quiet. I noticed her golf cart parked outside her house every morning, her blinds drawn. No HOA notices, no angry emails, nothing. Like a storm brewing out of sight. But her silence wasn't retreat. It was strategy. I'd seen this kind of behavior before. When a perpetrator knows they've gone too far and starts working to bury the evidence. What Karen didn't realize was that I was already several steps ahead. The same night of the attack, I pulled footage from the pool's security cameras. Magnolia Springs had 3, one facing the entrance gate, another at the diving end, and a third near the snack area. The feeds were stored on a cloud system managed by the HOA, and as of that evening, the files had been accidentally deleted. At least, that's what the system log said. I sat at my desk, staring at the screen, feeling that old FBI calm wash over me, the kind that comes before a storm. Deleting a video wasn't the same as erasing it. Data always left footprints. It took me 2 hours to recover the deleted files. When I opened them, the footage glitched and flickered, parts missing, frames corrupted, but enough remained to tell the truth. Karen's hand, gripping Lily's float. My daughter's terrified cry. Me diving in, pulling her free. It wasn't full clarity, but it was damning. I copied the files, encrypted them, and saved them in 3 locations. A cloud drive, an encrypted flash drive, and a hard copy in my locked cabinet. Then I called in a favor. "Tom, it's me," I said when my old bureau contact picked up. "Didn't think I'd hear from you again," he said. "You done with domestic life already?" "Not exactly," I said. "Got a situation, civilian, possible assault. I've got video evidence, but the local HOA is compromised. I need to confirm data integrity before I go to the county." Tom exhaled. "Send it through the bureau channel quietly." Within the hour, I uploaded the footage. While I waited, I started my own digging. Karen Dalton wasn't just a control freak, she had a history. Public records showed 3 civil complaints against her from previous neighborhoods: harassment, discrimination, and endangering behavior toward a neighbor's child. All settled quietly. It painted a chilling picture, a pattern of bullying disguised as authority. And then came the first real break: a bank statement buried in a public HOA disclosure. The HOA had recently paid $8,000 for maintenance on the pool filtration system, but the receipt was signed by Karen herself. No contractor name, no invoice. It didn't make sense. Until I realized what she'd done. Karen had access to the pool system. She could control filtration, temperature, even the water flow jets. And if she wanted to create a current strong enough to pull a child under, she could. I leaned back in my chair, my pulse steady but cold. This wasn't an accident. It was an attempted murder, masked by HOA authority. That night, I wasn't the only one watching. Around 1 a.m., motion sensors on my front porch triggered my phone alert. I checked the feed, a shadow near the mailbox. Small, hunched, moving fast. Then a hand reached toward the security camera, smudging the lens. I grabbed my gun, unloaded, safety on, bureau issued but legally owned, and stepped quietly onto the porch. The air was thick and still. "Karen," I said softly. No answer. Just the faint sound of retreating footsteps, the squeak of rubber soles on concrete. She'd come to check if I'd backed down. Maybe to intimidate me, but intimidation worked both ways. By morning, the entire neighborhood buzzed with whispers. Dana came by, nervous and wide-eyed. "People are talking," she said. "Karen told the board you let Lily swim unsupervised and that you attacked her." "She's spreading it everywhere. Of course she was." "Classic defense. Attack before you're accused." "She's lying," I said. "I know, but others don't. She's calling an emergency HOA meeting tonight. Says she wants your membership reviewed." "Perfect," I said, standing. Dana frowned. "Perfect?" I smiled slightly, "because that's when I'll end this." The meeting was held at the clubhouse, a pristine room lined with framed photos of community achievements and fake flowers. Every seat was filled. Some faces looked curious, others tense. Karen sat at the front, a queen at her throne, papers stacked neatly in front of her. "Thank you all for coming," she began, voice calm and authoritative. "We're here to address a serious violation of HOA safety rules by one of our residents, Mr. Carter and his daughter." A murmur spread through the crowd. I stayed silent, letting her dig her own hole. Karen continued, projecting mock sorrow. "An unfortunate incident occurred at the pool involving his child. While we're all grateful she's safe, it's imperative that we uphold our safety policies. This isn't personal. It's about community standards." I raised my hand. "Mind if I respond?" She nodded, lips tight. Briefly, I walked to the front, plugged my laptop into the projector, and pulled up a still frame from the recovered footage. The room fell silent. "This," I said evenly, "is the incident Karen just referred to." I pressed play. The video flickered. Water. Movement. Karen's silhouette leaning forward. And then my voice shouting as I dove in. It wasn't crystal clear, but it was enough. Enough to make the audience gasp. Enough to make Karen's face go pale. When the clip ended, I turned to her. "Would you like to explain why you deleted this footage from the HOA system, Karen? Or why you signed off on an $8,000 pool maintenance that never happened?" Her composure cracked. "You can't accuse me of—" "I can, and I will, because you're under investigation." Gasps rippled through the room. Karen's eyes widened. "Investigation?" I met her gaze. "I'm a federal agent. I have a copy of this footage verified through the Bureau's cyber unit, along with your financial discrepancies. You're looking at evidence tampering, fraud, and assault." The room erupted in murmurs. Karen stood abruptly, knocking over her chair. "You think you can scare me with your badges and threats? This is my neighborhood." I stepped closer. "Not anymore." Her face contorted with rage, but the power had shifted. The other board members avoided her gaze. Dana stood, voice trembling but firm. I saw it too. She's lying, neighbors began whispering, pointing. Karen grabbed her purse and stormed out of the room, her heels clicking furiously against the tile. I let her go. She'd make her next move soon enough. And when she did, I'd be ready. Back home, Lily slept peacefully, unaware of the war unfolding outside. I watched her for a long time, feeling the weight of every decision pressing down. I wasn't just fighting a neighbor anymore. I was fighting corruption disguised as civility, the kind that hides behind pool rules and HOA bylaws, and people like Karen didn't go down quietly. I checked my front camera one more time before bed. This time, I didn't see her, but I knew she was out there, watching, furious, desperate. That's when my phone buzzed with a message from Tom. FBI Cyber confirmed video integrity. Forwarded to County Sheriff. Proceed carefully. She's not acting alone. Not acting alone? I stared at the message for a long time. So this went deeper than one woman's cruelty. There were others, maybe board members, maybe funders, who had reasons to keep the truth buried, and by the time I was done, every single one of them would face the light. The morning after the HOA meeting, the neighborhood felt different, quiet, but not peaceful. It was the silence of people processing what they'd seen. Cars drove slower past my house. Curtains fluttered open and shut. Everyone knew something big had happened. Karen's golf cart was gone from her driveway. The house looked sealed, blinds down, mailbox overflowing. But I wasn't foolish enough to think she was gone for good. People like her didn't disappear quietly. They regrouped, and this time she had help. I got confirmation of that when I checked my email. The subject line read, Bureau Alert, HOA funds linked to fraudulent accounts. The report detailed it all, multiple unauthorized transfers from the Magnolia Springs HOA fund into 3 personal accounts, 1 under Karen's name, 2 under shell companies connected to board members. It wasn't just corruption. It was organized fraud, likely years in the making. Tom called me minutes later. She's not just an overzealous HOA queen. She's been laundering money through property improvements and fake maintenance projects. Figures, I said. She's been using HOA authority as a cover. You want the feds to move in? Not yet, I replied. Let's give her a chance to make one more mistake. That mistake came the next evening. It was around 9 p.m. The street bathed in orange from the streetlights. When my phone buzzed again, a motion detected near the pool gate. I opened the feed, expecting raccoons or kids sneaking in. Instead, there she was, Karen Dalton. She moved quickly, wearing black yoga pants, a hoodie pulled tight, and gloves. She was holding something small, a flash drive. She crouched near the pool's pump system, prying open the control panel, deleting the evidence again. I hit record, then I grabbed my keys and stepped outside quietly. The night air was cool, heavy with tension. I didn't call the sheriff right away. I wanted to catch her in the act. As I approached, her figure came clearer through the gate lights. I spoke just loud enough to cut the silence. Working late, Karen? She froze. When she turned, her face twisted, fear and hatred mixing like oil and fire. You have no right to be here. Neither do you, I said. That panel's HOA property. Want to explain why you're tampering with it at night? Her hand shook. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm protecting this neighborhood from you. Really? Because from what I've seen, you've been protecting your bank account. Her lips curled. You think you're better than us? You come here with your little girl, your pity act, and everyone bends over backwards for you. You don't belong here. The venom in her voice made my blood run cold, not because it surprised me, but because it revealed everything. It had never been about rules. It was about control, jealousy, and cruelty. I stepped closer. You almost killed a child, Karen. Her eyes darted toward the pool. She was weak. Accidents happen, I froze. That single sentence, cold, detached, shameless, told me everything I needed to know. You just confessed, I said quietly. You're being recorded right now. Her eyes widened. You... Before she could move, the sound of tires screeched behind me. 2 county sheriff SUVs pulled up, red and blue lights flashing through the darkness. Tom had followed through on protocol, and the Bureau's coordination had paid off. Karen turned to run, but deputies were faster. Within seconds, she was handcuffed beside the pool, screaming accusations and denials that echoed off the water. The official arrest report listed multiple charges: aggravated assault, attempted endangerment of a minor, fraud, and embezzlement. Evidence tampering. The other HOA board members didn't fare much better. 2 were indicted for complicity in financial fraud, 1 for falsifying maintenance invoices. Within a week, Magnolia Springs HOA was disbanded by county order. The day the "for sale" sign went up on Karen's front lawn, the entire street came out to watch. Some whispered, others just stared, but no one stopped her when the moving truck arrived. She kept her head down the whole time, glaring once in my direction before slamming her car door and driving off. It wasn't triumph I felt. It was closure. For the first time in months, the neighborhood began to breathe again. Without Karen's grip, the place felt human. Neighbors started talking instead of spying. Kids played freely. The new HOA committee, one led by Dana, focused on community, not control, and Lily. She smiled again. It started small, hesitant laughter when I took her back to the park. Then one morning she asked the question I'd been waiting for but dreading all at once. "Daddy, can we go to the pool again?" I hesitated. The image of that water, her tiny body struggling, still haunted me. But when I looked at her, I saw strength, not fear. "Yeah," I said softly. "We can." We went early before anyone else arrived. The pool shimmered in the morning sun, calm and clean. The air smelled faintly of chlorine and jasmine from the nearby hedges. Lily rolled up to the edge, holding her pink inflatable ring. "It looks happy now," she said. I smiled. "That's because it is. It's safe again." She nodded solemnly, then looked up at me. "You made the bad lady go away. I just made sure the truth came out. Is that what heroes do?" The question hit harder than I expected. I knelt beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Heroes protect people, especially the ones they love," she grinned. "Then you're my hero." I swallowed the lump in my throat and whispered, "And you're mine." As weeks passed, news spread beyond Magnolia Springs. Local media covered the story. FBI agent exposes HOA corruption in suburban community. The Bureau never officially confirmed my involvement, but that was fine. I didn't want fame. What mattered was that my daughter slept soundly at night. Every now and then, I'd catch a glimpse of the old fear, a flash in Lily's eyes when she saw a stranger near the pool, or when a golf cart passed too close. But it faded faster each time. Healing, real healing, was finally happening. And I'd learned something too. Evil doesn't always wear a mask or carry a weapon. Sometimes it hides behind smiles and homeowner bylaws. It uses rules as a weapon, fear as a tool. But no matter how neat the neighborhood or polished the fence, truth always leaves a trail, and I'd follow that trail every time, no matter where it led. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the water shimmered gold, Lily floated peacefully in her pink ring. Giggling as I splashed her gently, "See, Daddy?" she said, eyes sparkling. "The pool's not scary anymore," I smiled. "No, sweetheart. It never was. People can be, but the water? The water's just waiting to reflect the light again." She laughed, spinning slowly in the sunlight. For the first time in a long while, the sound of her laughter didn't carry any fear, just joy. And as I watched her there, my little girl, fearless again, I realized something. Karen Dalton might have built her kingdom on rules and cruelty. But in the end, she drowned in her own lies, and the rest of us finally learned how to breathe.